This
Please, I cannot hear anything.
Yes, Prof, we can hear you.
Can I start?
Yes, please.
What is echoing? Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, Prof, please, you'd have to mute one of your devices. I think it's coming from one of your devices.
I have one device on, so I'm wondering. Okay. Is it better like that?
Yes, I've removed the other device.
Thank you so much. Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and good day to everyone from whichever part of the globe you're joining us. This is African Forum for Research and Education in Health, Demystifying NIH monthly webinar series. I'll be talking about Demystifying NIH K Awards with insights from funded global cancer research applications, with practical guidance from an NIH program director on preparing competitive K43 applications. Today is Wednesday, 24 June 2026, and we're here on the top of the hour. Please, throughout this 90-minute webinar, I'd like us to please pay attention, participate actively, ask questions, because this webinar promises to provide us with insights into the NIH Career Development Award for Global Cancer Research using the National Cancer Institute K43 Award as a case study. And we are all going to learn about application requirements, how to review key proposal components, and we are going to gain practical insights from successful funded applications. My name is Prisca Olabisi Adejumo, and I'm the moderator for this session. We have a speaker in the house who is going to take us through this webinar. She is Dr. Fatou Jallow. She's the Program Director, Center for Global Health, National Cancer Institute of National Institutes of Health. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as we welcome Dr. Fatou Jallow to take us through this session. Thank you very much, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Prisca. My name is Fatou Jallow. As she said, I'm a program director here at NCI at the Center for Global Health. I want to make sure that you can all see my slides, and if not, please let us know. And as I'm transitioning through slides, if it's not on your end, please let me know. My computer may be moving a little bit slow, but hopefully we'll get through this without any hiccups. So the title for today's talk is NIH Career Development K Awards for Global Cancer Research, lessons from funded K applications that we reviewed in a portfolio analysis. And today the talk is going to be in three sections. First, I'm going to provide some context on NCI and the Center for Global Health. And then second, I'll review the NIH Career Development Awards, particularly the K43 mechanism, which is applicable to this audience. And finally, and most importantly, probably, I'll share some lessons learned from reviewing the funded and unfunded K43 applications between the year 2016 and 2022, those fiscal years, and discuss practical strategies that can strengthen your own applications. All right. All right, so here's the section. So first, like I said, overview on NCI and CGH. And most of you are familiar with NIH and NCI, but it's useful to remember where NCI actually sits within that larger NIH structure. So NIH consists of 27 institutes and centers. NIH ICs, or institutions and centers, were established over time through separate laws or administrative actions, starting with the National Cancer Institute, which was established in 1937. And NCI has the largest NIH budget and plays a major role not only in cancer research, but also in the workforce development and training. The National Cancer Institute, like I said, was established in 1937 and expanded substantially through the National Cancer Act of 1971. So in 1971 is really when NCI became what it is today. It supports cancer research across the entire continuum, from basic science to implementation research, and invests heavily in training the next generation of cancer researchers. The National Cancer Institute was signed into law in 71 by Franklin D. Roosevelt. And again, it's really what makes it what it is today through that act. And it's comprised of 30 divisions and offices and centers, which work to further cancer research both nationally and internationally. And CGH, which is right here, Center for Global Health, which is where I sit as a program director, was established in 2011 to strengthen global cancer research and training. And the center serves as NCI's focal point for international partnerships. CGH also supports research, workforce development, and collaborative networks worldwide, and emphasize the importance of international partnerships in addressing global cancer challenges. So, and like I said, we do focus here at CGH through on global health and international collaborations. So global cancer research is not simply about working internationally. It provides unique scientific opportunities. We can study cancers, exposures, populations, and health systems that may not be accessible within a single country. So global collaborations do help us validate findings, generate new knowledge and approaches, and inform domestic inequities, and ultimately improve cancer outcomes, both globally and here at home in the US. So, and as we all know, there's been some recent changes in the way we conduct research here at NIH and NCI. So international collaborations are still strongly supported by the leadership. And I have some links in some of these slides that you can click on to get more information on some of the information that I'm presenting today. I think the slides, if they haven't already been shared with you, will be shared later. But basically the bottom line is that it is still a priority here at NIH. What is especially important is the foreign justification, which has always been required when we do foreign collaborations or global research, either when you're applying for your own grant or with a US collaborator. You need that foreign justification. And NIH expects applicants to clearly articulate why the foreign setting is scientifically necessary, and not to treat the foreign justification as like a compliance requirement only. Use it as an opportunity to really strengthen the scientific rationale for the application. And this is just to point out that in a recent publication by the NIH director, Jay Bhattacharya, this is where he emphasizes the importance of global cancer research. And you're more than, this is in a public website, so you can click on the links here and read more about it. So that was just a brief background on NIH and NCI, the work for CGH, and how we kind of are the global section of NCI here at CGH. But I'm happy to take any questions on that background information. If not, I'm happy to go into the next section, which talks mostly about giving background on the NCI Career Development Awards, or the K Awards, and mostly focusing on the K43. So if I'm happy to take any questions, if you can let us know before I move forward. Okay.
There's a hand up.
I have a question. Yes. Again, thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with us this morning. One question I have is that typically folks think that if they are interested in global health research, that FIC is really the only NIH institute or center that supports global research. But would you say that NCI has a substantial global health research portfolio?
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. So Fogarty is the only, I guess, IC of the 27 ICs that focuses, on global. But there's within each IC, they also focus on global health. So at NCI, we have different divisions, offices, and centers, or we call them here DACs. And I'm at the Center for Global Health, but even the other centers, DCEG, both intramural and extramural, we do focus on global health. Some of them have a smaller portfolio compared to Fogarty or compared to Center for Global Health, but most ICs, most divisions, offices, centers do have grants that fund global cancer research. It's just that with Fogarty and with the Center for Global Health, that's just essentially what we do. We focus mostly on low and middle income countries, and some of the other ICs or institutes and centers may focus not just on LMICs, low and middle income countries, but also in high income countries as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, or should I move on?
Yes, please go ahead. There's no hand on from both departments.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So the next part will just give an overview of the Career Development Awards and why they are important. So why global cancer research matters, especially again here at CGH and for Fogarty as well. And I should also say we collaborate a lot with Fogarty, and we co-fund a lot of the Fogarty grants, especially the K43 and the K01, which I'll talk specifically about those two in later slides, so we can know the differences between them. But the majority of cancer deaths, as we all know, already occur in low and middle income countries. And this disparity is expected to increase over time. And at the same time, a substantial gap remains in cancer research focused on LMIC priorities. Building a strong workforce in research is one of the most effective ways that we can address this gap. And this is why we think that the Career Development Award is very important here at CGH, which is why we do co-fund that through Fogarty. And NCI, as I said earlier, supports training across the cancer continuum and cancer training continuum. At Center for Global Health, our global cancer research training aims include improving global cancer research skills, building research environments, and supporting research investigators through the cancer, through the K grants. And these are the three pillars that I just mentioned. So with the global research skills, we do this through fellowships and training programs. We also have building research environments. This is the D43 that we have here as a parent award. And we also support global research investigators, like individuals that are doing cancer research. And we do this through the K43 and the K01 and other supplements. Mentored supplements that we've had in the past. So the K01 and the K43 specifically, those are both research scientist development awards. The K01 is specific for US investigators that are doing research in global settings, and the K43 is specifically for low and middle income early career investigators. Both of these are mentored research training awards that basically the goal is to get early career investigators from being mentored in research into an independent investigator status. And usually when I talk about the K Awards, I describe it as basically providing protected time to become the investigator that you want to be. And you can do that. It gives you up to 5 years to develop those skills. The award is not simply funding a project. It is an investment in your development as an independent investigator. So reviewers don't just look at the science that you're proposing, they look at the candidate as well, which is very important. And we'll talk about those specifics later in the third part. So this slide really shows more of the similarities between the K01 and the K43. Like I said, with the K01, you have to be a US citizen or permanent resident, and the K43 is for LMIC investigators, citizens of LMICs. And for both, you have to be a postdoc or early stage investigator. And for the K43, you have to have either a master's with a thesis or have a doctorate, which usually those are the ones that are more successful. And you also have to have a junior faculty or research position already. And the research duration is 3 to 5 years, and these are the salaries for both of them. And this talks about the eligibility. So you have to have 75% dedicated to the research that you're doing. And the K43 itself, this is the Fogarty that we co-fund. And we have been doing this since 2016. So to speak more specifically about the application for the case largely, even though I may frequently say K43, that's just because I'm aware of the audience that's here. You guys are going to be more interested in the K43. But these are the different sections for the application that are going to be scored. Well, not all of them will be scored, but are going to be important for reviewers, which is the abstract. That's every reviewer will likely look at that first. And you also have the project narrative, which talks about the global health importance, which is about 3 sentences. If you're doing a resubmission, which I do encourage that, we get a lot of resubmissions that are funded. That's basically responding to reviewer comments, and you get a page for that. And then you have the specific aims, the candidate section, which includes your career goals and the research strategy, and also the mentors and co-mentors section. And again, the links are all here to give you more information on these different sections. So for the review process, we've so each application is scored based on these criteria on the left side. So you have the candidate, the career development plan, which also has the career goals and the objectives and the research plan. You also have your mentors, a table or something like that, and also letters from them on how they're going to mentor you, and also the environment or institutional commitment to the candidate. So these are the sections that are going to be scored by reviewers. These other sections on the right side are not scored, but are considered by reviewers, and is usually given acceptable or not acceptable, acceptable or not applicable. And these are the resource sharing plans, the responsible conduct of research training. That's going to be very important. And this is also not just specifically for the K43s, but for all of the K awards. And you also have the other sections here that, again, may not be scored, but are heavily weighed by the reviewers. And these are the different levels of review. So at NIH and at NCI specifically, there are 2 review levels. So the first one, like I said before, so each application is going to go to at least 3 reviewers. They will be assigned to review each application. And the assigned reviewers will provide a score for each criterion, the ones that I just mentioned, the candidate section, the career development, the reviews, the research strategy. And each reviewer also will give a preliminary overall impact score. And at the review, each assigned reviewer will talk about the overall impact score, like why they gave it a 1 or a 9, which is the rating scale at NIH. You can score from a 1 to a 9, 1 being the best. And so each reviewer will give specifically details on why they gave it the score that they did. And during that those meetings, some may change based on what other reviewers are saying. It's really a discussion because some reviewers may consider something that others weren't, and they can change the overall impact score, but not the individual criterion scores. And then the overall score. So these are the applications that are being discussed, of course, and the 3 reviewers will have the discussion. Others in the room that have also reviewed may provide some comments as well, and then they take an average of that. But the criterion scores are not discussed or updated, so just the overall impact score may be changed. And this is only for the ones that are discussed. When your application is not discussed, it's just the scores from the 3 reviewers that you actually you don't see that because it will say not discussed or ND. And then after the review, you get a summary statement. Sometimes the applicants get it before the program officers, but we'll get it as well. And whatever the outcome may be, it's really a good idea to talk to the program director that's assigned. And if you're considering, for instance, doing a resubmission, like talk to them, and because sometimes we're able to actually listen in on those reviews sections and can share some feedback, but nothing beyond what's actually in the summary statement. And that's the first tier of review. The second level is actually our national Cancer Advisory Board. So once we decide that we want to fund something, an application, we can submit a justification for it, and it goes to that second review process before it's actually funded. And right now, it's now required to have like an ORCID, or I'm not actually sure how to this is said, but you do have to have a profile, and I think most applicants do have this. All right, and before I go into the next section, I'm happy to take any sections I mean, any questions on what we just went through, and I can go back if you need me to in previous slides to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Jallow. May I open the floor with a question regarding that? Please, can you hear me? Oh. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Why will a submission not be discussed at all, and the applicant will not even have opportunity of getting feedback regarding that? What are those things that are likely to be responsible for an application not to be discussed or read at all? Thank you.
Right. So it's basically the reviewers. They can decide if the application. Usually, there's three: the top third, the middle third, and the bottom third. So the top third applications are going to be discussed, and then the middle third are usually not discussed but still considered strong, and then the bottom third are not discussed either. And that's just based on the reviewers that have reviewed it and decided, okay, this is a strong application that should be discussed. And sometimes during the review session or the study section, some reviewers can rescue an application. They can say, okay, the two other reviewers said this wasn't strong, but for whatever reason they think it's strong, and they can try to rescue it, and then it can be discussed. It depends on the reviewers, and these are external reviewers. These are not NIH reviewers. These are usually reviewers that are experts in the field, that have been doing research, for a long time, whether domestically or internationally. So they're the experts, and they decide what's considered a strong application or not. And they are not NIH staff members or program directors that decide this.
Okay, thank you. I saw Professor Nelson Sawakambo's hand up and Dr. George Oriaganto. So Professor Nelson, you can go first, and after that, Dr. George Oriaganto can follow. Thank you, and over, Professor Nelson. Professor Nelson, you are permitted to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry. I was planning to unmute. My two questions probably could be answered at the end, or if you think now is okay. One is there anything likely to change moving forward in the things you have discussed? Is there anything that is likely to change as a matter of policy? And the second is, when you look at this and the Fogarty applications, is there any difference in approach? Over to you.
I'll answer the first question. I didn't quite hear everything you said for the second one. So maybe you can repeat that, or someone else.
The second one or the first?
The second part.
The second part. Applications go to Fogarty. And then applications come to you, which are specifically cancer related. Right. Is there any difference in the requirements and the approach between those applications, or the requirements for applications to Fogarty and requirements for Cancer Institute?
Sure. So for the first question, with policies change all the time. We don't know. We don't set the policies here at the IC level. That's set much higher. So policies can change. We just deal with them when they come. We have to follow whatever the policy is. And I don't know if there's going to be any changes to anything come in. So we'll find out. And when we do find out, those are posted publicly for the public to be aware. And we also do share them as program directors. We do share them with our awardees. So when they do come, they're shared. And there's links that are in these slides, and there'll be one specifically that, you know, will give those updates. So you should see them. So for the second part, I'm not sure if you're asking this, but are you asking if there's a difference between like the different institutes when it comes to the applications that are being considered? Because so each institute is going to have its own priorities, and yes, cancer is what we're focused on. And so once applications come in, they go through the referral process, unless you basically say you wanted to come to NCI or you wanted to go to Fogarty or a different IC. They're referred to the appropriate institute based on what the topic is, the area of research that you're focused on. There's a NIH matchmaker where you can put in your abstract and it'll show you prior applications that are similar to yours, where they were funded, and you can choose to, you know, take it to that to that IC if you prefer. But yeah, it has to align with basically the IC's priorities, and it'll be referred to them. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Thank you. It does. You've answered the question.
Okay, Dr. Johnson, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Prof. Prisca, and the team, and thanks for sharing. Well, I think my question has been answered by the last response she made. Especially, it was around matching my applications to my priority areas versus the number of applications they are able to fund in the process. So that has been answered. That was my area of concern, because I know they receive a high volume of applications over the years from different young researchers. And so I wanted to understand the matching part, but she has answered it. So thank you.
Sure.
Okay. And the question. Okay, do you want to say something? Go ahead.
I was just going to add that one of my last slides has a lot of resource links and one of them is Matchmaker. So you can just go into that and drop your abstract in there, and it'll basically provide guidance for where something similar has been funded before.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's a question in the chat, and it says, if someone is interested in applying for a cancer K43, is there a specific notice of funding opportunity to target?
Yes, so it's going to be, again, in one of the next slides. There is currently a notice of funding opportunity that's out for the K43. I believe it expires December 6th. So you have an opportunity to apply to that one right now. Once that one expires, I'm not sure when the next funding opportunity will be published. So I would recommend you apply to that one before it expires in December. I think it's December 3rd or December 6th.
Thank you. That's all the questions here for now.
Okay. I'll keep going. So we'll discuss the last part, which is lessons that we've learned from successful K43 applications. So we conducted here at CGH, like I said, we co-fund the K43 through Fogarty since 2016. And we conducted a portfolio analysis of these applications between the fiscal years 2016 to 2024. And we wanted to understand not only who was being funded, but why they were being funded, We reviewed both the funded and unfunded applications. We looked at the applicants' publication records. We looked at their bio sketches, their mentorship structures. We also looked at the summary statements, which is what comes from the reviewers, to really understand what reviewers are looking for and to identify patterns that are associated with successful applications and not so successful applications. So we looked at specifically the K01 and the K43, which I talked about earlier. These two we co-found through Fogarty, and we looked at the applications that were funded, and we saw the success rate is very much similar between the K01 and the K43. And this is encouraging news that the cancer-focused K43 applications were funded at rates that are similar to the K01. This means that these awards are competitive, but are certainly attainable for well-prepared applicants. The more important question then became what was distinguishing the funded applications from those that were not being funded. So the next several slides are probably going to give a lot more about what is really needed, or what an applicant should really focus on when they're applying for the K43. And what we saw again across all mechanisms, and actually not just the K01 or the K43, but largely the whole Career Development Awards, there are others, that what we saw was that the funded applications consistently demonstrated alignment throughout when it comes to the research plan, the training plan, the mentorship plan, and the candidates' career goals. Because as I said before, this is different from an R01 or the Rs in that with the R01 and any of the Rs, they're more concerned about the science, the research that is being proposed. For the Ks, it's not just about the science, although that is heavily weighted, but it's mostly about the candidate as a whole, the story that you're trying to tell. And there was consistently alignment between all of these areas. And when we looked at applications that were not funded, they had strong ideas, but reviewers identified common concerns. Some of them were overly ambitious when it comes to the specific aims that they were planning. And again, these awards are for 5 years. So be mindful of what you are proposing, because the research may be important, but again, the training that you need to do. So you can't just focus heavily on the specific aims, then it doesn't leave room for you to get the training and skills development. So be mindful of that and not be overly ambitious. There were generic career development plans, just things that were kind of listed and didn't align with the candidates' past and future goals. There were weak mentorship structures, so make sure that the mentors you are proposing are not just, just providing their name, basically, but there's actually a structure that shows how they're going to mentor you and develop the skills that you need to develop to become an independent researcher, which is the goal for the Career Development Awards. All right, so one of the tips that, and I've laid it out kind of as tips, and these came mostly from the summary statements, what the reviewers were saying when they reviewed these successful and not successful applications. And the strongest applicants had really demonstrated momentum through publications. They had a lot of publications. They had collaborations and collaborators who were mentoring them. They had previous smaller grants, whether they were institutional grants that were much smaller, or like an AACR grant or something like that. So those were significant for candidates. And research experience, which really helped them build relationships, those collaborators that they had. And when I also mentioned the publications, they were first authors on these publications. And again, the smaller grants like foundations and things like that, or institutional grants. And also what I saw was that, I mean, a lot of candidates are not successful the first time, but when you did resubmit your application, because what really helps is that you get that summary statement from the reviewers, and they're basically telling you what's missing, what could have made it stronger, and you can really use that to make a stronger application and resubmit. And we do see that a lot of applicants are very much successful the second time around because of that advantage of seeing what the reviewers are saying and how you can build on that. For the second one, a weak research plan is really very difficult to overcome, even if everything else is strong. So across all applications, again, not even just the Ks, but the Rs. I know I said that for the K grants, the applicants focus on the candidate as a whole, and that includes the research as well. So making sure that you have a very strong research plan is very important, because it is heavily scrutinized. It is the most heavily scrutinized section, actually, of all the applications, whether it was funded or not funded. And it was also a consistent predictor of success. And across all mechanisms, I should say, whether it was a fellowship, a career development, or a research grant. So your research plan must be focused with well-developed aims, a strong rationale for those aims and the methods that you're proposing. Being overly ambitious or having long-winded aims, basically, they can count against you. So make sure it's focused and is doable within the time frame that is being proposed. Make sure the scope is feasible. Get statistical consultation early. That's something that I've seen that is heavily being regarded, like being considered. And I've heard from other PDs that have been here much longer than me that may not have been the case, but I've been here about 3 years now in this role, and I do see that that's something that's been really considered. And reviewers, actually, I see that they're more forgiving in other sections, but not in the research plan. Like a weak research plan is often disqualifying, whereas in other sections, they can be more lenient, basically. So I strongly encourage you to get multiple external reviews of your proposed research before submitting. Like share it with others who are not even in your field, to make sure that it's something that they can understand, it looks feasible, it's, the scope is aligned with the different sections. I would definitely recommend that, not just your mentors, but others within your field and outside your field. So reviewers also look for evidence that mentors will actively work with the candidate, not just lending their name, like I said before. Reviewers do read the mentoring plan very closely. Funded applicants had mentors with in-country support, and there was experience working. They had experience working together with those mentors, between the mentors and the candidates. Reviewers want to see a supportive and engaged mentor. So usually I recommend putting these in like a table with the mentors and where what their expertise is and where they're helping you build certain skills. And just have an honest conversation with a prospective mentor about their time commitment. A strong mentorship plan is really going to include clearly defined roles for the mentor, expertise that's complementary to what you're trying to build your expertise in, a structured meeting schedule. That should all be laid out actually in that table. You know, how often are you going to meet? Where are you going to meet? They want to see that this is well thought out, and it's it's planned between you and your mentor, and it's not like an afterthought, you know, where you just kind of put a paragraph in there. Explicit skill development goals, and where, again, what your goals are and how the mentor is going to help you work on that. They should document their funding track record and others that they've mentored. They want to see that your mentors have done this before successfully, and they're well within their careers, and not someone who's starting out like you. And sometimes you can have someone who's, for instance, who had just completed the K, because that's more of a peer mentorship, and they can be more flexible, maybe even in meeting with them. I wouldn't recommend having all your mentors like that, but maybe one who is going to be more like a peer mentor. Weak mentorship plans often listed mentors without defined roles. There was not enough detail on how you are going to engage with them, and this did not describe the training outcomes. So this was very important. So just having that structure and putting it in a table and having all those sections laid out and well defined will be very helpful. And I should say, one thing that program directors do recommend is when you have a specific aims page, you can present this to a program director. That can be me, that can be Suda, who's the director of training here at CGH, and Christine, who does it for Fogarty. And we're happy to review the specific aims page with you and let you know if it's strong, if it's aligned, and just to work with you so that you can submit a strong application. And so the candidate section, again, was the strongest predictor of funding success. Tell reviewers who you are, why you want to do this work, why it matters to you, and why now is the right time for this award. You don't want to come across as too early, like you haven't really done enough. You don't have a lot of preliminary data, for instance, and you have a lot of skills that still need to be built up. But at the same time, you don't want to come across as overqualified as well. You don't want, which I've heard reviewers be like, oh, they should be applying for an R01, you know? So make sure that it's a nice story about you where everything is aligned. And I mean, it's an investment in you. Reviewers are investing in you as a person, not just the research project. Even though, you know, I've talked about the science being very important. It is very important, but making sure that it aligns with everything else when it comes to your training, when it comes to the mentorship and the goals and your future, what that looks like. So really making it like a nice story from where you were, where you are, and where you want to be is really the goal here. So your bio sketch and your personal statement need to tell a coherent story of commitment, progression, and momentum, not just listing your accomplishments, but yeah, like weaving it into a story that demonstrates your potential. Tell the reviewers why you need this specific K award to advance your career. Provide the details that are not listed in the bio sketch, because the bio sketch has a page limit as well. So whatever you don't have in the bio sketch, put that into your personal statement. Your gaps should be framed as opportunities for growth. It's what's going to help you progress into being an independent researcher. If you are a D43 trainee, make that connection explicitly in your application, because that shows the career trajectory, like moving from a D43 to now a K43, and how there's a section, I believe, even in the personal statement where you can add a paragraph or just a few sentences on how the K43 can then lead to an R01. So having that career trajectory in there is going to be helpful as well. If you have had non-NIH funding, that's important too. NIH is not the only funder out there. There are others, like I said, smaller ones that are institutional, foundational, smaller grants, and talking about those as well, showing that others have believed in you and the work that you're doing. It really demonstrates initiative and competitive standing in the broader research community. And so the career development plan should not, how should I say it? It shouldn't be like a wish list either. Again, weaving a really clear and coherent story. Every activity should address a specific gap and move towards independence. Why you're taking this training or you're taking this course, really, it's not an opportunity just because someone else is paying for it, but how it really lends to the story that you're telling. This is the part of the candidate section, but it is scored separately from the candidate section. The reviewer score it separately. A common mistake in writing a career development plan that reads like a wish list, again, really try to avoid doing that, just listing the trainings that you want to do. And I would actually recommend putting this in a table as well, like you would do with the mentorship, because you'll see a lot of it would be connected, because in that mentorship table, they're going to have their expertise and the skills you're trying to build and how they're going to help you do it. And you're kind of reinforcing that or reinstating that here. So maybe putting that in a table may be helpful, or in a paragraph or two. It's really, you also don't want to make the reviewers work too hard. So that's why I always recommend a table. It really helps them see it laid out. Because if you have it in a paragraph, sometimes you're jumping from one to the other and it becomes incoherent and they can give up on that. So having it in a nice table and then a couple of paragraphs describing the table, I think would be helpful. That way, even if they don't read those, not the actual 3 reviewers, but others, they can still see what is laid out in front of them and what it is that you're trying to do. And address any gaps in skill and how the K award can help you bridge that gap to achieve your career goals. Demonstrate like that trajectory that clearly articulates a path to independence. The plan should feel, it should feel inevitable and doable, not aspirational, something that's definitely grounded that can be done in the 5 years time that is being given. All right, so this is more of, excuse me, a checklist based again on the portfolio and everything that I just kind of talked about. If there's one thing I would recommend is that a successful K application presents as a complete package. It's a promising candidate, it's a feasible research plan, committed mentors, institutional support, and a clear path to independence. Like I said, you can have external reviewers, not just within your field, but outside of your field, and your mentors look at your application and provide feedback, and having program directors review your specific aims page. As long as you provide it early enough, we're happy to read it and meet with you for 30 minutes or more, whatever's needed to really help you build a strong application. Defining the mentor roles and meeting schedules. Again, that's very important. When you define each mentor's role, what their expertise is, don't just put meetings on Zoom or whatever, like really lay it out. We're going to be meeting every 2 weeks on Zoom. once a month in person, like really have it spelled out so it doesn't show up like an afterthought, that it's really well thought out between you and your mentor. And your mentor should also have something similar in their statement on how they are going to help you get where you're trying to get and how often you guys are going to be meeting. So make sure that that's a communication you guys have. That way it's consistent in your section and in their section as well, because they'll go in to upload those. Demonstrate institutional commitment and protected time. Because that's the goal here. You really need to have protected time to do the research. Some of you are going to have teaching positions, or you might be MDs, you have clinical roles or duties to fulfill, but you have to have at least that 75% time protected to do the research, and your institute has to say that in their letter, that they are giving you that time to do the research, and explain a clear path to independence, basically. And I think, okay, so this might be the last slide. So just reviewers are invested in you, not just the project. These are things I've already said, but just reiterating. The research plan must be feasible for the award period. Don't be overly ambitious. Really, it doesn't, like reviewers are they're looking at the time commitment and what you're proposing. Do you really have time to do all of this work? You don't want to appear overly ambitious. That's really gonna hurt you. Resubmissions are often successful, like I said, because you have that summary statement, you have exactly what the reviewers are thinking, and you can talk to your program director and they will guide you depending on what the reviewers are saying and or not, what's really being said in those statements, what's feasible. Are you able to resubmit in the time frame before the next one is due, or should you go and get more preliminary data and resubmit in the next cycle? So your program director would be very helpful there, I would say. And this is the resource page that I was talking about. On the left here, these are NIH specific resources. There's videos. This is the matchmaker right here. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the page where you can submit your abstract, and it'll show you where similar projects have been funded, which institutes or centers have funded them in the past. And you can talk to the program directors at that institute to really help you. And there's videos for help to guide you with the application process. And these are some on the right NIH resources that I came across recently that I have added when it comes to working on your application, the specific aims page or career development plans and things like that. So they might be helpful. So you'll have access to these as well. And I think, yep, that's it. And this is the CGH website. You can go in there and learn more about CGH. There's a staff profile page. I think all our email addresses are there. You can reach out to the right person because you'll see our bios with the background and all of that. At the Center for Global Health, Sudha and I, Sudha Sivaram, who's the training director at CGH, and myself were the program directors for training. So either one of us or both of us can jump on a call and talk to you. And that's it. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Wow, this is $1 million information that you've just provided for us free of charge, and we do appreciate it. A question that was
happy to.
Earlier on, it was posted in the Q&A session, and I missed it. So I'm going to take that question now, and then I'll come back later on to check. I've checked. Please, if you have any question, kindly indicate by raising up your hand. And the question is about if there's a commission, is it the same reviewer who reviewed that same application earlier, who is going to review it, or is it given to a new set of reviewers?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first. Are you asking if you resubmit if the reviewers are different?
Okay, I'll take it again. Are the same reviewers required to review a resubmission, or will the resubmission require a new reviewer or different set of reviewers?
No, it won't be the same. The there are different study sections for the different mechanisms, the K as well. So it may not be the same reviewers, but they will, when you do resubmit, they'll see the prior comments, because you have that one page, right? So they'll see the prior comments that were made and by the reviewers before, and if you've kind of responded to those comments.
Okay, I hope the questioner is satisfied. Okay, I cannot find any question. I'm trying to check those who have raised hands. Okay, there's one, and Roy Mubuke, go ahead and ask your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prisca. Thank you to the presenter for an informative session. Just one small question about the profile of the applicants. What sort of tips would you give to people who would wish to apply for the K43s to weigh if they are overqualified for this award or not? Because it seems certain candidates may not qualify because they are overqualified for this. So what sort of tips do you give to people to judge themselves whether to go for this or not? Thank you.
Sure. I think your mentors would be very helpful in this case, or the program director may be helpful as well. You can talk to others. If you send me an email, I can put my email address in the chat. I can link you to prior awardees or current awardees of the K43 that I'm sure would be happy to mentor you as well. Yeah, but I think, if you come across as being overly qualified, the reviewers will say that, like, oh, this applicant is, too overqualified for this, which may be a good thing. You can then, just apply for an R. But yeah, I think you can talk to prior or current awardees for the K43. The program director can help, but also your mentor, because your mentor would have hopefully mentored some of these candidates in the past as well.
Fatou, may I also contribute to this?
Yes, please, Unja.
Yes. Sorry, this is Unja Hayes, program director in Fogarty International Center. So if you submit a career development award application, then basically what you're trying to present to the reviewers and to the sponsoring IC Institute or NIH Institute or Center is that where you are currently, what you are trying to do is to get to this other point in your career development. And where you are now, you need certain trainings here, you need certain experiences there in order for you to get to that other point. So even if you may be considered a well-experienced early career investigator, still you can present, if you present your situation as such, then it's likely that you won't be seen as being too advanced for a career development award. So it's all about how you present your case, because we can always develop and become a better, stronger, more knowledgeable researcher. So you just have to present the case of, you're here, but you need to get there. And this is how, this career development award is how you're going to get there.
Yeah, and I can even give an example. Like, for instance, if you're a clinician and you're moving into a more research career, you're going to have a lot of skills that you need developed becoming a clinician to now doing research, or even if it's a different field, like maybe you were doing a different non-communicable disease, and now you want to move towards cancer. Like there are skills there that you would need to build. So presenting it that way, like what the gaps are and how these gaps can help you become independent in that area.
Okay, thank you. There's a question. It says from Uloma Ubani Ukoma, can we have a consultant from an institution if the person does not qualify as a mentor or a co-mentor?
Yes, they can be listed as a consultant or a co-mentor. For the K43, you have to have a primary mentor in a US institute and a primary mentor in the in-country institute. So those two you have to have. And then everyone else is going to be either a co-mentor or a consultant. Just define what their role is going to be.
Okay, thank you. From Joseph Unyan Gono, the question is, who assigns the mentors? Donors, researcher?
You pick your mentors. That doesn't come from NIH. You find your own mentors, and you preferably would have worked with them in the past, have a relationship with them, but you would have to find your own mentors. If you need help, like I said, we can set you up or introduce you to current people who are in your area, but they may not be a mentor, but they might provide guidance, or current awardees who can provide assistance as well. But you develop those relationships on your own and ask them to be a mentor.
Okay, I think that's about all I can find here.
Unja has her hand raised, so.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Just wanted to share a quick comment about mentors. So sometimes what we may think that by having a big name, someone who is a big leader in the field, having their name on our application will somehow make an application stronger. And so I would caution anyone from doing that in name only. So if you're going to have a leading expert in the field on your K application, as just, ways to make your application look good, that could be a serious downfall of your application, because it would be seen when they're actually reading your career development plan that individual really did not take the time to help you develop your plan, and is not therefore invested in your future success. So if whoever you have as being your proposed mentors on your application, please make sure that you work with them. Please make sure that they truly are invested in your career development. If not, I promise you, it will come across in your application. And as a program officer who has listened to and actually been a review officer and have listened to the feedback of reviewers in meetings, that is a very quick way to get a poor score on your applications if the reviewers feel as though the mentors aren't truly invested, and that would be shown in their involvement in developing your application.
Thanks, Unja. That's very helpful.
Thank you, Unja, for those questions. From my end, both from the attendees and the panelists, I do not have any other question. And I say a very big thank you to you. We are out, and sincerely, I have learned a lot. I've benefited so quite. I have not been communicating with program managers. And I promised myself I'm going to be doing that more because I've seen the benefit in the course of this delivery. And I really want to appreciate you for creating time to prepare for us, to plan, to be here, to actually present, and to share with us your wealth of experience. Thank you so much. On behalf of AfriHealth, and I know Anja has appreciated you on behalf of NIH FIC, and on behalf of all of us, the participants, and all the attendees, we want to say a very big thank you for being with us, Dr. Fatou Jallow. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Winifred, over.
Well, see you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Professor Nelson, nice to have you. Roy and every other person, nice to see you. And Anja, excited to connect again. Bye, everyone, and
Yes.
everyone Thursday.